Good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Miroslav Hanak. I work for Turris-t, and I welcome you at my lecture about Turris Sentinel. Before I start, I'm curious if anybody have already heard about Turris or Sentinel. Is there anyone? Maybe please raise your hands. Okay, then never mind. Okay, so. Before talking about Sentinel, which is the main topic of my presentation, I am going to briefly introduce Turris. Turris nowadays are commercially available powerful network devices which can be more than Wi-Fi router. You can, for example, create network-attached storage by connecting a disk, use it as a VPN server, or host your own cloud by deploying Nextcloud. And they have a lot of nice features. Software is fully open source. Turris OS is based on OpenWRT Linux with automatical updates. Even the first version of our router, which is currently 9 years old hardware, still has a newest system and receives security fixes. We give people root accounts, so you can fully control your device. I could continue with the list, but it's not the main purpose of this presentation. However, I suggest you lecture Making Open Source Wi-Fi Routers at 2 p.m. at this room, where my colleague Michal will talk about Turris in general. For more information about us, you can also visit our webpage, turris.com. So now I finally get to Sentinel. Sentinel is a threat detection and cyber attack prevention system running on thousands of Turris routers around the globe and protecting the user's network. It is the second generation system. Turris was originally a non-profit research project. Its objective was to investigate how much are ordinary people not running any public services targeted by cyber criminals. For that purpose, we developed the first version of Turris and rented it for a symbolical amount of money to people and various institutions who had to use it as their main gateway to internet. These devices were running network probes and collected data about the cyber attacks to fulfill a research objective. We had plenty of data, and we wanted to protect users based on knowledge from the research. But the initial data collecting system hasn't fulfilled new demands anymore, so we redesigned and rewrote it from scratch and thus created Sentinel. Now let's see how it works. Okay, so let's see how Sentinel works. What? Okay, so let's see how Sentinel works. First of all, we collect data about potentially malicious network traffic on our routers. The data are then sent by encrypted channel to our servers. The channel is secured by TLS, and there is a dedicated subsystem with certificate authority for automated client certificates issuing and renewals. On our servers, data are analyzed, evaluated, and we get list of malicious IP addresses. The list is then uploaded back to routers, which update their firewall rules to block all the IP addresses from the list. This process repeats in real time, so Sentinel always adapts to current threats. From technical point of view, Sentinel is a microservice architecture. It consists of many interconnected components, which each of them is loosely coupled to others, easily maintainable, deployable, and testable. So Sentinel is quite flexible. On routers, we collect data about potentially malicious network traffic by our minipods and by parsing firewall logs about rejected and dropped incoming packets from WAN. About minipods, I am going to talk in next slide. Turris Sentinel's task is to protect users against threats coming from internet, so we don't care about and don't collect anything going out from users' networks. We respect their privacy. I know everybody says that, but since source codes of anything running on our routers are publicly available and you have the root account, you can easily check it yourself. Data collection on routers is also optional. Users can always switch it on and off, or even uninstall dedicated software packages by a few clicks from our web interface or from a command line. However, I suggest to keep data protection on, because only then you are protected against the threats attempting your particular device. We also fetch data from external resources. Currently is only from HAAS, what is SSH honeypot as a service. Okay, minipots. Minipot is our in-house abbreviation for minimal honeypot. Honeypot is a trap. Attacker thinks he got access in some system, but in reality, he is in controlled environment and his activity is tracked. Minimal in our context means that it is not full-fledged honeypot with complex environment, as for example HAAS, but our minipots only emulate application layer services. We have FTP, HTTP, SMTP, and Telnet minipots. They record, connect, and login attempts. Thanks to this design, they are relatively easy to implement, but they are still the most complex Sentinel component. They don't consume much system resources like CPU and RAM, but they give us a lot of information to decide whether a given IP address is bad or no. We also focus to minimize possibility of compromising of our minipots, so we base their design on a known server's implementation. And I can say we succeeded because some of our users receive messages from their ISPs that they are running vulnerable services. And they had to explain that it is not a security hole, but an advanced protection. So, data processing. On our servers, we see data as a real-time stream of events. And they are processed while flowing through our data pipelines, which are a series of interconnected components where each component does one particular task, as data enrichment, analysis, or stores the data to a database. The main goal here is to decide whether a given IP address is bad or no. Each IP address gets a score based on events it caused. The events are connect and login attempts captured by our minipots and port scans. If a score for an IP address reaches particular threshold, it is marked as malicious. If an IP address is behaving correctly, meaning we don't receive any events from it for some time, its score decreases and we lose its track. Main output of Sentinel is the list of malicious IP addresses, which is changing in real time. It's crucial part of dynamic firewall, which is Sentinel subsystem taking care about the list generation and uploading it to all dynamic firewall clients on routers. Except of dynamic firewall, we do other interesting statistics on getter data, such as list of most evil countries, most evil IP addresses, most abused passwords. All the statistics are publicly available from our web interface called Sentinel View, which I am going to show you right now, hopefully. Oh yeah, I have it there, so that could be better. Okay. even better. Okay. I hate technology right now. Okay. Failed to launch. Okay. Let's try another one. Oh. Let's try Chromium then. Okay. So apparently I cannot show you our Sentinel View because my computer refused to run any web browser. I tried 3 of them. So yeah, so the front end is from as view, you can find all the data statistics. There you can also find visualization of a dynamic firewall real time. So you always see all the IP addresses which are there. You see current events running there, and you can see the changes, like which IP address was removed or which IP address was added. And you can also download the list of malicious IP address as a CSV. This is 1-day snapshot, which is made every day, like at 1 a.m. and it's put there. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you our future plans. Nowadays we work on a service similar to Have I Been Pwned, where you can check whether your credentials hasn't been compromised. The main difference between the classical Have I Been Pwned and our service is that we check your credentials against data actually used by attackers, not by data from leaks and breaches. We plan to make Sentinel available outside of routers. We have ongoing proof of concept cooperation with one local ISP in Czech Republic to deploy Sentinel in his network and see how it is going. Users can also look forward to a new, clean, user-friendly web interface. Its design is in progress. And data collection on routers is also waiting for improvements. We plan to add TLS versions of our mini-pods. So that's the end of my presentation. I thank you for the attention, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
So if somebody has a question, just raise the hand and I will give the mic.
Yeah, so.
Why do you try to emulate SSH and other services on the router? Why don't you just tunnel the traffic outside of the router? I mean, the attacker is connecting to the SSH port, yeah, and you are just channeling that to home or to a honeypot dedicated server, and it's not.
Well, that's a good question. That's actually what the SSH is doing. It's also running on the router. It was like another project of ours. So yeah, the proxy is running on the router, it's kind of redirecting the attackers to our servers. And where is the full-fledged honeypot? And yeah, we record like all the commands which users are trying. And
yeah. Approximately how many honeypots you have? For example, I mean, do you track vulnerabilities too, or just services that you place?
Just services.
Just services.
Like trying to be lightweight, like not anything complex.
And do you place it on the same server, or do you place it into the virtual host too?
No, the thing is that the minipods, the data collection is running on the user's routers. So like all around the globe, whether users can place it. But we also want to make it available like outside of routers, so you could put it on any server, any Linux machine.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully it's an answer for your question.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, just a minute, I will check if we have online questions.
So if now I have some time, I can show you this as you on my colleague's laptop, which is working. Mostly, yes. So here you can see the visualization of a dynamic firewall. You see that currently we have 6,000 IP addresses in the list. You can like scroll all of them, but yeah, here are the updates. So you see which one was added and which one was removed. And here is here are the events which are happening right now with this IP address did it. Here is the gray list. So you can download the latest snapshot of the list. In overview, you have kind of mix of statistics from other areas. Here are the main areas like incidents. These are the statistics related to the events like the connect and login attempts and port scans made. So here you can see, for example, the number of incidents during the time. So you see, here are the lists. So as you can see, most events are from US. The most often event is connect to SMTP minipod. And here you could see the evolution of events for the most evil countries. And here for the particular minipods. So the SMTP one is like, in general, winner all the time. There you have attackers based statistic, again, number of unique attackers during the time. As you can see, most attackers are from China. Yeah. Here you can see the most evil IP addresses, like. Yeah, and again here is some evolution in time. So.
Okay, seems we have one more question.
Okay.
Is there any remediation available about the IP address block? So if a user detects own IP address is blocked, or a service provider detect your own IP range is blocked?
Yeah, of course. If you like find yourself or your service in the list, you can contact us and we can remove it.
Okay,
or we even have some wide list of like good IP addresses.
And is there a kind of auto subscription or something? For example, if I'm a system administrator or ISP and I would like to subscribe to you to get notified if you find something suspicious coming out from my network, is there such a service?
Oh, I think currently no, but I think for sure we can talk about it and make something, try to make it available. But not currently there is nothing like this.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Okay.
I think we have no more questions.
Okay, so if the time is over, so then thank you for your attention again.
Thank you very much for your presentation.